Hello, everyone, and welcome to Body Bags. I'm Lonnie from Horror Heaven77. I'll be your reviewer for today. And the movie I want to talk about is I know this movie's kind of like split down the middle a little bit with some people. Either they love it or they hate it. I particularly love it. I think it's a very fun movie to watch. And the movie I'm talking about is from 2006 and it's called Black Sheep. And no, it's not the one with Chris Farley and David Spade. Now, this movie here, as you can see, it's from back when Dimension had the Dimension Extreme line, and they were putting out all these different horror movies and everything. They had the Dimension Extreme title on them, and this movie came out in 2006. It's a New Zealand horror film, and one thing I find is that I'm really, really, really falling in love with New Zealand horror films. This movie, What We Do in the Shadows, that that movie's awesome. If you haven't seen even the TV series, if you haven't seen the movie or the TV series of What We Do in the Shadows, watch it. It's uh, some of the best vampire fiction I've ever seen in my life. It's awesome. Housebound, that's like another one. So yeah, so I'm really starting to dig a lot of these New Zealand horror films, and they got great comedy. You know, uh, this one here. You got lots of really good gore. You got good creature effects. It's from the I don't know if they pronounce it Weta company, the same company that works on Peter Jackson films. But yeah, just anyway, though the story is pretty simple. You have Henry and his brother. His brother's like always picking on him, torturing him, things like that. And when they're really little, he puts Henry through a traumatic experience. Well, it turns out that they live on a sheep farm and that their father raises sheep and things like that. But he uses oh god, what was it? I'm sorry, I forget the name of Henry's brother. But anyway, he forget Simon, I think. But anyway, so he ends up using like the skin of a sheep and everything to torture and terrorize his brother. And then we cut to it's years later. Now Henry's an adult, and he pretty much moved away from the farm. He turns out because of his brother, he ended up having this lifelong fear of sheep, and he's scared to death of them. And so he moves away, moves to the big city and everything. And then it turns out that their father passed away. And what ends up happening is that Henry wants to go back to the family farm where his brother has been living and staying there this whole time. And he wants to go and talk to his brother, see if his brother would buy out his share and he could just be done with it. And his brother can have the farm because his brother always seemed to be more wanting the family home and the family estate and everything else anyway. And Henry really has no problem just giving it up to him and just letting him deal with all that. And he can just go on with his life. So he gets there and, all these things are happening kind of simultaneously. It's like on the one hand, you got Henry wanting to go and see his brothers so that they could resolve their issues. But at the same time, we find out that his brother is working with scientists to genetically mutate sheep, to do something with them. Then at the same time, you got these activists, these animal rights activists who are kind of the, almost hippie type, and everything else. I mean, they look like hippies and stuff. And their whole thing is they want to set the sheep free because they've heard about, experiments being done on these sheep and they don't like it. And they're all about the animals' rights and things like that. So they want to go and, they want to help save these animals. Well, they come across Henry and there was two of them. One's a girl, one's a guy, and the guy he ends up getting bitten by one of the sheep that he's trying to help. And in a very funny, he starts turning into basically a were sheep. You know, he starts starts growing hooves and things like that. And he starts getting the teeth, and his facial features start to change. So it's like instead of turning into a werewolf, he's turning into a were sheep. And then uh, so the animal rights activist girl and Henry they go to confront the brother. Turns out he reveals that he's been genetically mutating these um, he's been genetically mutating these sheep, but here's a problem. Now the sheep are, starting to become vicious and they're starting to attack people. They're starting to kill and eat people and things like that, disembowel them and all this. And, and you got some great liners in here, like even at one point, the girl says, she's all like, the sheep are revolting. And he's like, yeah, aren't they? you know, but, so anyway, he decides, though, he's going to make Henry's brother decides he's going to make so much money on this deal that he can't allow them to mess with his plan. So his idea is to do away with them. So now you got Henry and this girl who, they're starting to form a relationship. It's starting to, you can see the seeds are being planted that they're starting to fall in love. And so Henry's got to kind of, so she's trying to help Henry face his fears so he could confront his brother. And, at the same time, they're trying to deal with all these man-eating, killer sheep and everything else. And the brother, he's getting into even more weird and crazy things. I don't want to give too much away, but this movie is insane. It's, a lot of black comedy in it. It's, got a hell of a sense of humor. I will say though, it's like, plenty of gore. So if you're, you got some really good practical effects too. I think there's very little to no CGI in this movie. I think just about everything in here is practical effects. So that's definitely a plus. But yeah, the effects are awesome. You got a lot of blood, you get a lot of gore. There's a scene where like I said, I'm trying not to give away too much, but there's like a gigantic massacre of sheep just going around, just ripping people apart and just, like chewing on their stomachs, pulling out their insides, everything else. There's all kinds of blood and gore in this thing. So, and it's just, the movie's a lot of fun to watch, and the humor, the acting is good. Yeah, overall, I just really enjoy this movie. And, that's the thing. It's like I can't really get into too much more without giving away spoilers and things, which I don't want to do. If you haven't seen the movie, I'd like for you to see and just enjoy it for what it is. But yeah, I think that's pretty much about all I could say about it. But yeah, this movie is a lot of fun. Like I said, lots of good practical effects, lots of good gore, funny, good performances all around. So yeah. So I know some people, they don't like it because I think to them it's a little too silly, but nah, for me, it's fun. If you're, the tone of the movie to me kind of suggests maybe a movie like Tremors, where it's, yeah, you got these killer monsters, people are getting eaten, things like that, but you got these characters they got great banter going between them. They got, they're interesting, they're fun and likable. You want to see them succeed and everything else, and then also too, you got an interesting, interesting lead antagonist who, it turns out, you kind of wonder who's worse, the killer sheep or this guy. So, but anyway, yeah, I'd say if you haven't seen it, go ahead and give it a chance. It's a lot of fun. I enjoy it. So anyway, so that's going to pretty much do it. So if anyone took the time to watch this video, I thank you for doing it. And I honestly hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe to the Body Bags channel. They got a different video every day of the week. I'm the Saturday reviewer. We got great guys all doing great stuff. So yeah, so come back and check it out. Anyway, that's it. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.